Hello YouTube, this is Skating for Satori. Today I wanted to introduce to you my son's skateboard setup, as well as to answer the question as to why my son has so many colors and shapes on the top of his board. To give you some background, my son is a 7-year-old skateboarder. He's been skating for about 2 years now, just kind of getting the basics down. But he's also a child that was diagnosed on the autism spectrum at the age of 3. So when we got him on a board at 5.5 years old, he didn't understand the concepts of front, back, right, left, front side, or back side. So what we did was we incorporated colors and visual cues to allow us to communicate to him, as well as to have him learn in a way that most reached and connected with him. To teach him the front and the back of the board, we incorporated color-coded bolts. So we found a company called ShakeJunt, which makes the bolts in green and yellow. And what I did was I put all the greens in the front and all the yellow bolts in the back. And the way I taught him the front and the back was like this. He's a regular footed skater, so what I did was I said, hey, this is your front foot, your left foot, let's call it your green foot, and this is your back foot, your right foot, and let's call it your left foot, your yellow foot. So I would say, okay, your green foot goes on the green bolts, and your yellow foot goes on the yellow bolts. And then I have him place his feet up the green and the yellow, and then I would hold his hands and pull him across the flat ground and eventually the skate park. As he got better at holding himself on the skateboard and balancing himself on the skateboard, the next step in the progression was to teach him directions. When I looked at his kindergarten worksheets, I noticed that they were working on the basic concepts of colors and shapes. So what I did was I incorporated the two, and then I found these pens made by Sharpie that I can draw on grip tape. So what I did was I drew a blue triangle to mark the right and an orange triangle to mark the left. And so when we'd hold his hands and want him to go to the right, we'd say, okay, we're going to go towards the blue triangle, or we're going to go towards the orange triangle to go to the left. We've also continued to use this communication method with him as he's progressed in skateboarding by saying, hey, drop into the bowl. We'd like you to try to do a orange triangle kick turn. Or lately, he's starting to learn how to carve the bowls and pump through the corners. So what I'll say is, hey, drop in and do a blue triangle carve around the corner. If you look at the tail of the skateboard here, there is a purple half circle. And so about, I would say 8 months into skating, he tried to challenge himself and drop into the bowls like a mini bowl, but he didn't understand where to put the board on the coping or where to place his foot or his weight. So what was happening is the board would just like flop into the bowl. So to help him out with a visual cue, what I did was I drew a purple half circle using the Sharpie marker. And so that he knows that if he lines up this line here with the coping and then places his back foot on the purple half circle as well as places his weight on it, the board will remain on the deck and stable until he's ready to drop in. The added bonus was that I think that it also taught him where the pocket of the board is. So upon implementing this method, he's been able to control the skateboard and turn it much more better. Lastly, if you look here, there's a green line here in between the two front bolts. And so going back to the concept of green being the front, what I did was I just drew this green line here, and so that my son would know where to place the edge of his foot or his shoe when dropping into the bowl. If we flip the board around, he currently rides a Blue Tile Obsession mini Grom deck. It is sized a little bit smaller than a typical skateboard. So it is 7¼ inches across, wide, by 29¼ inches long. It's got a medium concave, and then most importantly, it's got a 12.5-inch wheelbase. What that means is the distance between the two trucks here is 12.5 inches versus maybe 14 to 15 inches for a regular adult-sized board. So this shorter wheelbase allows him to, especially a child of his size and age, to kind of turn and control the skateboard a lot more easier and a lot more effectively. The trucks that he rides are independent, so he rides a Reynolds 129 hollow, and he also uses Bones soft bushings. The wheels and bearings that he rides are also Bones, so he rides a Bones 54mm Street Park Formula with Bones red bearings. So that is my son's skateboard setup. We've used this method to communicate and allow him to progress in skateboarding. So I hope that this methodology can be used by maybe another parent who has a child on the spectrum that they want to get their kid on a skateboard, or maybe even for a neurotypical kid who might be having some difficulty learning how to skate. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me through this YouTube channel. You can also follow our family and my son Justin's journey on Instagram at Skating for Satori. Once again, thank you very much for watching.